So, Brian, good afternoon.
G'day, mate.
And Simone, thanks for coming in.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Simone, so we're not going to use your brand name for the purposes of this, but you are someone that has been selling the e-cigarettes.
Correct.
How long have you been doing that for?
For just under a year personally myself, but researching the marketplace in Australia for around 2 years now.
And what is the marketplace telling you?
The marketplace, in terms of the customers, is telling me that they need access to information that is a healthy debate, that's balanced, and that's informing them of an alternative that may help them change a habit they have today.
You're on a bit of a legal minefield in all of this.
Absolutely.
And how are you going tiptoeing through that particular minefield?
Being really careful, doing lots of research, keeping in touch with the relevant bodies in understanding their processes and what they're doing, particularly overseas as well. But I think one of the most important things is also to be listening to our customers.
As you know, Brian Carlton has been smoking for many years and would prefer that he doesn't smoke as much as he does, and would like to cut down and is keen on trying the e-cigarettes. So what would you say to someone like Brian?
Well, first of all, I wanted to make sure that he's a smoker first, which he's obviously told me he has.
Oh, yeah.
Also,
so that's important. You're not keen on getting people hooked on e-cigarettes.
Absolutely not. I'll give you an example. My father, my grandfather died of lung cancer, and all his sons continued to smoke. And he died directly in relation to cigarettes. And that baffled me as a young teenager. And then my father, when I went into this industry, you know, I showed him the device, etc., but I said, you're never allowed to try this because you gave up. He gave up cold turkey. He tried many times in his life, but he's not allowed to touch this device, nowhere near me.
Oh, good on you. Good on you.
Which is sensible, really. You don't want people, getting a nicotine addiction where they didn't previously have one.
No.
Or if they've managed to overcome a nicotine addiction, you don't want them rebuilding that addiction, no matter what the method of ingesting it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I can see that you really believe in this. But we've got to regulate it properly, though, haven't we?
Yeah.
And we don't want to do it as a big tax build-up for the government here, but we would like to regulate it properly so that non-smokers, particularly the point that you're making, non-smokers don't get hooked on this just for something to do, just for giggles.
Yeah.
You know, it is used for people who are currently smoking.
And, you know, the part of the course we go down is asking our customers, what have they tried? Why do they believe it hasn't worked for them? I mean, and I'm happy to talk about Alan Carr's book. I've not read it myself, but the customers who've talked about even loved ones that have been able to give up, his books really helped them. Cold turkey seems to be the main one, but other methods have failed them. So support is one of the main things too. You can try an electronic cigarette, but they need support. You can't readily get in Australia your e-liquid to refill your electronic cigarette like you can in Europe. Yeah. So there's lots of
Can you talk Brian through the device here? He's managed to acquire a device. Can you talk him through what he needs to know about this?
Okay, this device is what we call a second generation electronic cigarette. So we don't believe in selling the ones that look like actual cigarettes. For one, it's mimicking something that we're trying to rid the world of.
Yeah.
It doesn't help the youth, and it can potentially re-socialise smoking. So this device is second generation because it tends to give, well, the anecdotal information we get from our customers, it feels like a cigarette in terms of the feeling and the sensation. You can't hold it like a cigarette, so the action is slightly different. But
so
simply they say
it's pushing
it works.
you away from that habit.
Yeah,
because
you're
not holding
change.
it. Yeah.
You're not holding it like a cigarette. It doesn't light up at the end. There's a battery. There's the top bit. You know, the clearomizer that you have to put the liquid into. It's a little complicated, but it actually works, and those are the words we get.
So the distinction, the significant difference between this and a cigarette is rather than actually burning a plant, as what happens in a cigarette, this is a liquid that is literally vaporized. It is turned into vapor in exactly the same way that your home medicinal vaporizer turns water with eucalyptus oil or whatever into steam. It's that kind of thing. So what I'm actually ingesting, should I have a bit of a drag on this, is water and nicotine, and that's about it.
And there's about 2 other elements to it that are chemicals that are used to give you an example that may help your listeners. Asthma puffers, the base of an asthma puffer, not the medicine in it, but bases like that. Right. So that basically gives the liquid.
So that's an inert chemical.
Correct. So, but with a cigarette, it's not just the plant you're ingesting; it's the chemicals they wrap around that plant to make it work.
Brian, dare we go back to the old interviewee days of John Laws in the studio and smoking? Would you feel keen?
And me.
and you, the old days, yeah. Where would you feel all right having a shot at that for us and tell us how it goes?
I'll give it a go. Okay, so there's a little button here which I have to push 5 times to turn it on. So 5 times. I've got a little blue flashing light here. Okay. Now I need to hold the button in while I drag it. So let's give this a go. This is a legal grey area, folks, I've got to say.
It is.
Here we go.
It is. Is it like a cigarette?
It's it has a slightly more chemical flavour, I guess, would be one way of putting it. It's hard to do. It tastes a little like nicotine stain smells on your finger, if that makes any sense. Anybody who's ever smelled hardcore smoker, it smells a little like, it tastes a little like that. It doesn't taste quite like a cigarette, but I've got to say, the sensation of drawing in the vapour and then blowing it out again is not dissimilar to having a cigarette.
All right, so, and is that usual? Brian's reaction to that, is that a pretty normal thing?
The first reaction the first reaction can be quite a surprise because smokers aren't used to the feeling that they're going to get, particularly what they call the throat hit, which is a feeling in your throat when you smoke. But it's not going to taste exactly like a cigarette, no, because it's a flavouring. But the other thing you've got to remember too, Brian, is that your taste buds aren't as how they should be. So actually when you stop smoking...
You have destroyed them over the decades.
Almost certainly.
You've got this whole new world of food to look forward to soon too.
If you could imagine a piece of sandpaper sitting on your tongue, that's your tongue over the last few years.
Actually, my sense of smell is astonishingly good, and taste, I've got to say, for what it's worth.
There you go. But so what people tell me is that it takes about 2 or 3 weeks and their taste buds come back once they stop smoking.
Yeah.
And then things change for them in terms of flavours.
I feel very naughty. It's such a long time
since
I've had
a cigarette. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
It's such a long time since I've had a cigarette inside anywhere that sitting in the radio studio doing this right now I'm feeling very naughty.
Can you smell any smell?
I can smell it.
Slight smell.
It almost smells a little like a fruity kind of smell. Doesn't smell like cigarette smoke. It smells a little fruit to it.
I think it smells a little bit like baking. So if you're baking a cake, it's sort of like a baking cake sort of smell.
Can I tell you that if an engineer happened to walk past the studio at this point and saw Brian doing that, he would be taken out. We have a guillotine in the car park, and they'd stick him straight in that. It's a big no-no. But look, Simone, thank you very much for coming in. The reason, this is important, the reason why we wanted to talk to you is because if it is actually going to help people, if it is going to improve people's health, if it's going to help them stop smoking, and the motivation behind it is good, and the research needs to come, then that's why we wanted to chat to you. So we really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Are you all right over there?
Not even coughing.
Simone, thank you.
Thank you.